Hello, friends. Thank you for joining ERPA's webinar to review the top features for the Workday 2024 Release 2 update that is fast approaching its September already. I can't believe it. Nearly 500 of you signed up for our live event today, so welcome to you all. ERPA supports customers throughout their entire life cycle on Workday. Our model benefits both existing and new Workday customers throughout their entire life cycle on Workday and their journey. Workday customers, as well as new Workday customers, if you're interested in implementation services, application support, private to public cloud migration, and much more. But today is all about Workday's upcoming release. A couple of housekeeping matters as folks continue to join. You will find yourself muted on our platform, but we do have a team of experts prepared to engage with you in the chat. So send us your questions and your comments. You'll find in the upper right-hand corner of the platform the option to put comments and questions into the chat or the question feature. Speaking of the chat, I will be dropping some links to some exciting Rising activities you might be interested in, especially those of you who are planning to attend Workday Rising in person in just a couple of short weeks. So be on the lookout for those links during the course of our hour together. And then finally, after today's event, you will receive an email with a quick 4-question survey. Take you about 45 seconds to complete it, and we would be grateful for your feedback. And now, John, I'm going to turn it over to John. If you join me on camera and unmute yourself, he is the first of our team of experts presenting today. Welcome, John.
Thank you very much. And before we get started here, of course, we have to briefly touch on our safe harbor statement. We're going to be talking about features that aren't available in your Workday production tenants yet. So safe harbor definitely applies. So today we're going to be talking about a number of functional, cross-application, technical, and student updates for you. You can see here we've got a very full agenda, so we might be talking a little bit fast, but we've got a lot of great content to share with you today. First off, we'll start off with financials, which happens to be my area. My name's John Milkovich. I lead our Workday financials team here at ERPA, and I'm excited to talk through some of the top features that our team has identified. So this is what you'll see on the following section. So we've broken out the top features, and in the 4 columns to the right, we identify features that are automatically available, if configuration is required, if there's a change management impact, and if there is a security impact. And I'm not going to go through each of these features one by one here. We're going to spend a little bit more time on these first 3 features. But one thing I do want to call out, the Supplier Accounts Hub, that second line, and the Close and Consolidations Hub, which is the 5th line. Workday continues to push hubs out to customers across all functional areas, which are new dashboards that have a lot of great capabilities. So, they're continuing that trend in this release. And before I forget, I would like to remind everyone, Expenses Worklet is being retired. If you're currently using the Expenses Worklet, that is being deprecated and it's going to be replaced by the Expenses Hub. You can enable this already. You've had that ability for the past few releases now, but if you log into your preview tenant, you'll see that the Expenses Worklet has been replaced by the Expenses Hub. This is a pretty major change management impact, so please keep that in mind. With that, if you could go to the next slide, please, Catherine, we'll talk about one of our 3 top features here, mass change buyer on purchase order. So this is something I've experienced with a number of customers. When you've got a purchase order buyer that leaves your organization or transfers to a different role, there hasn't been a way in the past to update the purchase order buyer across all of those purchase orders that that individual was assigned to or created. So Workday has come out with a great new task that allows you to do this. This is, again, something I've seen a lot of customers request, and we're very excited about this change. It's been long overdue. The next feature is the Supplier Accounts Hub. And like I was saying, Workday continues to introduce hubs across all areas. This is another great hub that accounts payable data entry specialists, accounts payable managers can utilize. It groups a lot of the tasks into one area, a lot of very helpful reports, very user friendly, very intuitive, just as all the other hubs have been. So I strongly encourage you to check this out. It may not replace your supplier accounts dashboard. There's still a few reports in there that you'll probably want to continue to utilize, but I definitely recommend you check this out because it is a great hub. And finally, the last one, this one I believe has over 400 brainstorm votes. This is something that I've heard from customers for a long time. It's the ability to hide the itemization button for certain expense items. The number of times I've worked with customers and looked at expense reports with them and seen users itemize things unnecessarily for every expense line. This will really streamline the ability for users to create expense reports and not get confused about whether they need to itemize something or not. So the ability to hide this, very simple configuration, very easy to uptake, but can have a major impact for your users. So those are our top 3 features. I'm now going to turn it over to Alex, who's going to go through some of the payroll absence and time tracking features.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. I'm Alex Mady, Senior Director of Payroll Absence and Time Tracking here at ERPA. We're going to start off talking about the new payroll features that are rolling out with this release update. The list is not quite as long as we saw on the financial slide, but there are some significant new functionality rolling out in the payroll area. The first one that we're going to be talking about on the next slide here is arrears balance for employee self-service. Now, currently, if you have an employee that has an arrears balance, that is not visible to them on their payslip. That is changing in this next release. Workday is enabling workers to view what their balance is. They can see those totals and details both through employee self-service as well as in the benefits and pay hub. This does require some configuration setup to make it work, but it is going to save a lot of time and a lot of questions from your worker population. Now, the next feature that we're looking at here is going to be a big one that a lot of people have asked for. Many of you may have had that massive change management when switching from a prior provider over to Workday, where you no longer had the ability to use direct deposit to make payments on behalf of workers. Well, that is changing in this new release, that Workday is enhancing and giving you the ability to generate and settle payments for deduction recipients for all customer-owned employee and employer deductions. This is going to include retirement deductions, 401k, benefit premiums, charitable contributions, union dues, you name it. You can now make what a lot of people call a payment check in some other systems. You now have that ability to do it within Workday, independent of needing any sort of an integration. So if you're a smaller organization that doesn't need a massive setup just to get 1 or 2 payments done, you can do that through payroll directly now. This is a big one that people have been asking for a very long time. Our third feature for payroll is a retroactive functional change, which allows different tax authorities on an on-cycle payroll to be calculated. This again requires some setup, and it is going to allow the taxes to be calculated on a retro processing. So those tax authorities will be figured, and then it is going to be applied into the current period. This is going to still result in a single pay result, but this is going to allow you to have multiple taxes on that one pay result. This will streamline a lot of corrections and reduce the need for amendments in a lot of situations. That's all we have right now for payroll, but we're going to go ahead and move forward and talk about absence. Again, some really cool, innovative new functionality. And as you can see, the items that we have here, there is configuration required for all 3, but it is going to be well worth it. The first feature that we're going to look at for absence is the ability to now expire specific accruals. Previously, if you had an absence plan, you could do carryover and you could expire that entire bucket at the end of the year over a certain amount of time, or you had to uptake multiple custom calculations to get this to work. Now Workday has enabled you to expire specific accruals so that you can essentially on a rolling calendar get the oldest accrual to expire first, moving to the new one. This reduces the need for buckets or carryover and gives you a lot more flexibility, especially on global plans that have very complex calculations. The second feature that we're going to take a look at here is buying time off. Now, selling time off was functionality that Workday rolled out recently. Now Workday is adding the ability to buy time off. So this will now have it so that if a worker is going to sell it, they want to sell this time off and get money back. Now you have the additional dimension where you can sell that time off and somebody else can purchase it. Higher education environments, schools, universities, and some other businesses like to have that pool where somebody can donate that time off and somebody else can purchase it. Well, now you can do it with native functionality in Workday. This is a big one that a lot of people are going to be excited about. Now let's go to the third absence one here, which is leave units proration based on percentage. So right now with leave of absence, you have difficulty with the proration of these different values, but this will now allow you to display and process part-time leaves on an entitlement when the leave is not full-time. So if you have a worker that you still want to have leave of absence, but maybe they are not entitled to the entire FMLA or similar time off, you can now prorate that with the information when they request the leave of absence and get a more accurate representation of what they're entitled to. That's all we had for absence, and we're going to wrap up here with time tracking. The big features that we have here in time tracking, that there are 5. Some of these are going to be much more impactful than others, but as you can see again, all of them have configuration surrounding them that needs to be put in. The first one that we have on here is going to heavily impact organizations that have employees that they want to submit time, but maybe it's a salaried employee and you don't want them to have to go in and click it over and over again. Workday now enables you to create schedules and can automatically submit that time. So if you have a worker, it's going to be 9 to 5, Monday to Friday every week, but you want them to have that time submitted, you can now set it up to do that automatically without having to have them go in and click the button, and you do not need to mass advance it. This is going to save some organizations quite a bit of time and maintenance. The second time tracking feature that we're going to be looking at here is daily time exceptions for managers. Now, many of you may be with organizations where you have the need for managers to go in and check things constantly, missed punches, punches that don't have an out or an in where they're not a corresponding pair. Well, now you have the ability for these managers to view this information and add them on their behalf. This is something that is only available for time tracking if you also have Workday scheduling, but this is also something that will impact managers using mobile to correct these things in a timely manner. The last feature that we're going to be talking about today related to time tracking is entering time by period. Now, previously, the common was to do it for every week, or you could do it for every pay period, meaning it would be whatever's tied to the period schedule, bi-weekly, something along those lines. Well, now if you are a monthly organization, you can have employees submit their time completely within that month, tied to what is going to be on their time entry template with that period schedule. This is going to make it a lot easier for organizations to cater to different populations based on their calendar rather than forcing everybody to abide by one single entry method. They don't have to switch between the classic view in order to see what are the period start and end dates, what are the holidays. They can do it all in one screen. So this is going to be a big win for a lot of you organizations that were having to make accommodations previously. Those are our big features for payroll, absence, and time tracking. I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Catherine for HCM.
Thank you so much, Alex. Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Gaines. I lead our HCM data conversion and reporting teams here at ERPA, and you're going to be stuck with me presenting for a while as I cover HCM and cross applications. Let's move right into people experience. Note our top people experience features here, and then we're going to be discussing the top 2 next. We kick off with an exciting update that you can now create custom validations which will require the case solvers to fill out or complete designated fields before marking a case as resolved. Access that maintain custom validations report and create new custom validation types using the case transaction type to add a condition rule that denotes which fields are required to be completed before case resolvers can resolve that case. Make sure to thoroughly test this enhancement, both the positive and negative scenarios of testing here. Our next item, with great power comes great responsibility, and now the responsibility lays in the hands of the case owners, should you wish to update with this enhancement. Case owners can now reopen their cases from the Workday Help Center if they're dissatisfied with the solution, which never happens, right? Navigate to the Edit Tenant Setup Help to enable this functionality, and note the case can only be reopened if it was closed for less than 7 days in the Help Center, and when enabled, it does prompt for a reason regarding why the case is being reopened. Moving over to talent, note our top talent features here, and we're going to be discussing the top items next. Skills can now be added to development items, and bonus, the Workday mobile enhancement, development items are also now available for the Workday native app on Android, iPad, and iPhone, so you can take your hopes and dreams on the go. Make sure you've enabled MSA through Innovation Services if you haven't deployed skills yet. And here's a plug. Make sure that you sign the Innovation Services Agreement, or the ISA, and start using the wonderful library that is Skills Cloud. This is also a good time to take a look at your job catalog and see if you want to add skills to those public job profiles. Note you can only add up to 3 skills to a development item at this time. This is intentional for optimal end user experience. Talent feature number 2, another exciting update to the goals user experience. You can now, in bulk, meaning multiple goals at once, create, delete, edit, review, and approve multiple goals. Make sure you've navigated to the Maintain feature opt-ins to enable the goals user experience redesign, and update the Manage Goals business process security policy to enable goals multi-management. The fancy new bulk updates button will only be available if you provided the user with initiating action access to both individual goals and archive goals. Check out the slide out feature from the side panel as well if you're only adding or editing one goal. And if 2 or more goals being added or edited, they'll appear in My Task for review and approval. Moving over to recruiting, note our top recruiting features here, and then we're going to discuss the top features next. Good news, the candidate experience improvement enables candidates to easily navigate, engage with, and review all documents they've previously accessed during the job application process. This feature is automatically available, so please make sure that your recruiters are aware and update any job aids as needed. You are always able to test these features by applying for jobs posted to your external career site from your sandbox or preview tenants, because those application links differ from your production tenant. Moving over to learning. Note our top learning features here, and we'll discuss the top one next. Yes, you can finally enforce lesson sequences in a course. Workday has added a new Enforce Lesson Order checkbox in a course, whether you're creating, viewing, or editing the course and course offering tasks. No more skipping around willy-nilly as a learner if that's what you'd like to happen. If you select the checkbox, learners can't access the self-directed mandatory lessons such as media, surveys, and externally linked lessons until they complete the previous learning content. This feature is automatically available. However, you might want to go back and edit your previous courses to activate the radio button. In case you'd like to do any custom learning validations or condition rules, you also get the Enforced Lesson Order proposed and current report fields. While exciting, just a reminder here to test, especially that learner experience with this change. Moving over to core compensation. Note our top core compensation features here, and we're going to discuss the top 2 next. Workday enables you to override a worker's Workday calculated next step progression target date with a future date of your choosing. With this, setup is required. You're going to want to configure the business process security policy and default definition on the request step progression date override business process. And the step progression date override provides you with greater flexibility in managing your workers' next step progression. Core comp feature number 2, Workday makes it easier to meet global needs with percent-based commission plans. We can finally make those. You have to create percent-based commission plans to uptake the new feature. You cannot include percent-based commission plans in a compensation review process. And percent-based plan option will now be available when creating, editing, or viewing commission plans. You can also use a on-target earning structure that sets commission target as a percent of a compensation basis. Moving from core comp to advanced compensation, note our top advanced compensation features here. Advanced compensation feature number 1, you can now update stock grants at scale with the update stock grants operation type on the Mass Operation Management or MOB task. The update stock grant events operation type is easier to use than the current update stock grant web service, but you cannot update these fields. Shares vested, shares unvested, vesting price, vested as of, long-term cash amount vested, and long-term cash amount unvested. It is also capable of processing many more updates than the update stock grant task. Advanced Comp top feature number 2, validation rules for custom calculations. This makes custom calculations more consistent and reliable, enabling validation rules when editing custom calc fields during compensation reviews. You can update fields such as bonus currency, bonus list value, bonus percent, merit list value, and merit currency. Check this out when you're trying to navigate through the editable field. Now we're going to move over to benefits updates. Note our top benefits features here, and we're going to be discussing our top 2 next. The benefit elections user experience redesign. Workday has transitioned the benefit enrollment landing page and current election summary to the card framework for the worker's view of their benefit elections. Setup is not required. This is automatically available. However, if you do want to make any adjustments to those cards, access the benefit elections tab in the benefits and pay hub. This new card view changes the user experience for a better enhancement. And just in time for open enrollment season, Workday delivers a new Send Benefits message task and an enhanced Send Open Enrollment Reminders task. These tasks are going to leverage that new fancy Workday notification designer, and you can use this to send workers emails, text messages, and push notifications related to their benefits and open enrollment. Note, text messaging is only available in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Setup is required for this. You're going to want to ensure that you have subscribed to the Workday messaging SKU to send those text messages. And after you subscribe, access the Innovation Services opt-in task and select Configure Security and set up that notification routing. And good luck to you all this upcoming open enrollment season, hoping that this enhancement can greatly improve the user experience for open enrollment. Moving over to HCM Core, note our top HCM features here, and then we're going to discuss our top 2. The change job new user experience for workflow steps. There is now going to be a streamlined experience for users across the change job workflow. There's going to be exciting new page layouts that is more intuitive for all of the change information that's happening during a change job. The updated layout is available when you're reviewing a change job, whether you're a current or receiving manager, when you're approving, when you have event details, canceling or rescinding. And then on editable review steps, users are presented with a Make Changes button to enter an editable change job experience. If there's any missing or invalid information as part of the change job, the editable review steps will display a different user experience with a message indicating that there's missing or invalid information. This is going to be automatically available. Make sure that you take a look at your change job templates, and this simplified user experience is meant to enhance the process of change job. HCM feature number 2, hire employee. There is now going to be additional information and redesign here. The redesign for the search for person and search results interface during the hire employee task will allow you to add new fields to the search criteria and grouping fields into sections. This also now displays pre-hire information and previous role information for terminated workers in the search results. And if you want to have any adjustments to those optional fields, go to the Configure Optional Fields task. We're going to move forward to be discussing our cross-application services. Note our top cross-application features here, and we're going to be discussing the top 2 next. Our top feature is going to be the Hub Navigation Customization. This feature enables you to create your own navigation items and groups with custom labels. You can also use this feature to group and reorder Workday delivered and custom navigation items on hubs. And what you're going to want to do is go to the Customize Hub Navigation action on the Maintain Hubs report. Once you do this, then you're able to update that hub's navigation customization. And so you can curate those groups to make them easier for users to review, make the hubs more useful for the users, and you can add custom reports, dashboards, and even extend tasks to them. We're going to move over to analytics and reporting. Note our top analytics and reporting features here, and we are going to be discussing the top two next. If you're anything like me and you have quite a few tabs open at any one time and are a master multitasker, so why wait for a report to run when you can schedule live composite reports to run in the background? This feature is automatically available and allows you to interact with the composite report directly with the new View in Browser option instead of generating a CSV, Excel, or PDF output. Keeping the report results in Workday also makes your data more secure. So go ahead, view in browser, schedule that composite report, and Workday will notify you when the results are ready to view. While the results are a snapshot from when the background task finished, the drill down and outline expansion results are interactive and provide you with real-time data. For feature number 2, send scheduled reports as attachments. While this functionality is only available to Adaptive Planning Limited Preview customers at this time, Workday plans to deliver this to all Adaptive Planning customers on September 21st, 2024. Safe Harbor applies here. With this release, Workday enables users to schedule matrix and model reports as Excel attachments in email notifications. Recipients can then download the attachments from their email notifications. Recipients can enable the feature from Administration General Setup. After enabling the feature, you can schedule matrix and model report notifications with the attachments, and you can even enforce a password protection on the schedule. I will now be passing it over to Rio Ramon.
Thank you, Catherine. Talking about integrations and going on with the exact same theme moving forward with everything is that Workday is moving more toward the hub experience for us all. And we will demonstrate and talk about several features, not only in integrations, but also in the extend module as well moving forward. Quick introduction about myself. My name is Rio Ramon. I am the director here at ERPA, and I'll be walking through some of these features and highlighting them moving forward in this presentation. As listed here are some of the top integration features that are currently listed, and we'll be talking specifically in regard to integration about some payroll-related and payroll connectors that are being offered in the new Workday release. Integration feature number 1, as part of the global connections with payroll, there is the new global payroll hub providing you with centralized view of payroll views where you can view and take actions in real time moving forward for third-party systems in place. This improvement in payroll experience for multiple countries by reducing the time and effort to log into multiple systems and third-party systems to get information. Easily accessible is view of all the pay groups, view high-level information, do employee counts and payroll breakdowns, as well as drill down into payroll details to see much more information moving forward in the next pay period. Very useful product that's now being offered within Workday specifically for third-party payroll systems. Integration feature number 2, moving along with the exact same payroll configurations, Workday will now enable you to more easily share historical payroll data about employee verifications, unemployment claims, as well as tax credits and to your third-party payroll systems. This is a new payroll partner outbound integration template that's now being offered. It can now extract up to 3 years of payroll data to be used for this payment file. The one thing to note here is make sure that your third-party system is able to comply with this the specific information that's being passed over in this new connector. Integration feature number 3 that's being offered is that there's a new REST API that enables you to make flexible requests for payroll interfaces between pay groups on demand for payroll, for the third-party payroll systems. Now you don't have to have scheduled integration runs, use output files specifically for Workday, or kind of fall within the framework of Workday's staffing event codes and business logic. So that's a very useful API that is going to be enabled hopefully in this next iteration of the R2 release. Moving from the integration highlights, we'll talk about three aspects that are inherently that are coming up in Extend moving forward in the new release. One of them is to enable an API for Workday Extend developers to generate WQLs via the plaintext request. This will allow developers to easily develop these request calls much faster than before. Feature number two that is being offered in Extend is an API in Workday that allows developers to upload JPGs and receive JSON response containing to the documentation text and extracting files. This is a new opportunity for experience document intelligence moving back and forth from your company and future Extend models. And then feature number three that I'd like to highlight is that now Workday business objects will be able to be extended, beyond the business objects that are currently in place right now. It allows you to easily report on extended data throughout Workday in this new module moving forward. Those are the highlights from integration and Extend, and now I will pass it over to Caroline, who will talk to you more about student and those opportunities that are coming up.
Thank you, Rio. Hello, everybody. My name is Caroline Weir, and I'm the Director of Workday Student here at ERPA, and I'm going to be talking about the top student feature for the 24R2 release. We're going to start with recruitment and admissions. Just a note, as we walk through these, we do have our top 3 features available to us in our slide deck, but I'm going to highlight just one of the features for each of the functional areas because student is so widespread. So, top features for recruitment and admissions, we have 5 that we're highlighting. Our top one is is the ability to finalize and publish admissions decisions by using the MOM or the Mass Operations Management. So what that does is it enables schools to really bypass any of the manual reviews or approval steps that you've configured in your publish application grouping business process. And it makes the admissions decisions publicly available for all of the applications for which you've published those decisions. And before this feature was released within Workday, schools really had to publish applications by application groupings, which was somewhat limiting for some of our schools. So the ability to do it in mass is a great step forward. This is going to be a great help for schools who are using Workday native admissions, as well as those who are using Workday using Workday with a third-party admission system such as Slate. So thank you. Let's move on to our our records and admissions advising areas. Got my R's and my A's all mixed up today. So student records and advising, and a little bit of curriculum rolled in. So we have 8 top features. Our top feature is going to be our homepage card for student registrations. So of course, within Workday Student, is a major part of the student experience. It's a huge focus for all schools 3 times a year or more. And so these homepage card updates that Workday are delivering to us give really students a greater insight into their upcoming registration appointments and then any action items that they need to complete in order to complete their registrations. So students will be able to use the information on these home cards to more seamlessly plan out their future registrations. The feature will massively help advisors' workloads as well as administrative staff, maybe in the registrar's office, during the registration periods. Students will have more insight into the registration process. So they're going to lessen the need for registration troubleshooting or Q&As with their advisors. And so before this release, home page cards were available to students, but they were only displayed when students who had already been assigned a registration appointment and also had an academic plan or saved schedule in place for the upcoming academic period. So by releasing this home card update, it makes it available to all students, information available to students much more robust. All right, let's move into student financials. So student financials, again, we have top 8 features. We're going to focus in on our top features. for student financials, which is our ability to look at the account refresh functionality. So really, this feature allows students and their third-party proxies, if they've given them permission, to see and select the account refresh button on their student financials pages. And that button was previously only available to administrative staff. So this functionality will be available to students in these proxies, but only outside predefined peak times. Workday wants to ensure that peak times are removed from this functionality to make sure that system performance is not compromised. So these peak times are really around registration. So before this release, the ability to bring the student's account up to date was really restricted to either the nightly job orchestration process that ran at 1 a.m. Pacific time, or it was kicked off individually by admin users who had access to that button. So that meant that students weren't really able to be sure if their account was up to date at any point during the day, especially if they were registering or making any changes that might impact their fees or their packaging. So really being able to allow the third parties and the students to click that account refresh button really makes us that one step closer to real-time fees on the student view of their account. Our last functional area is financial aid. So in student financial aid, again, we have top 8 features. We're going to focus on the top feature, which is our federal direct loan reconciliation. So this new feature is going to be pretty huge and significant for the student financial aid offices within the Workday community. There is a certain amount of setup necessary, but once established, clients, customers, schools will be able to import account statement files directly into Workday, and that will help them manage the required monthly reconciliation process. So Workday is going to deliver a student award reconciliation hub, so more hubs, which will be a central location to work with your award and disbursement details. Workday are also delivering a new report which will help you track what is actually loaded into Workday, and they will be delivering several new report fields which can be used in any custom reports that you want to define. And prior to this release, the financial aid offices really had to rely on their own outside devices, maybe Excel spreadsheets, for reconciliation. So schools are going to really benefit from fewer steps, less reliance on these outside tools, and all of which will go to streamline the reconciliation process, eliminate any errors, and really, most importantly, keep our auditors happy. And lastly, for our student, I want to talk about one of the student cross-functional areas, which features that Workday have released. So Workday have, if we can move on to the next slide, thank you. Workday have released the ability to create segmented security for calculations. So student is a huge user of calculations to support packaging, to support tuition and fees, to support cost item allocation, to recruit, to support admissions and their residency calculations as well. So it's really a cross-functional function that student uses quite heavily. And before this release, calculations were actually secured primarily in the payroll area. And of course, calculations are used heavily in payroll. But with the old setup, if you were lucky enough to have access to security or access to calculations, you had access to any calculation. That was a problem within student because, of course, we didn't want our student financials people touching our financial aid calculations and vice versa. But it was also widespread. And there was always a discussion to be had in every student implementation I've been on as to who is going to get access to these calculations. The payroll teams understandably didn't want student folks to have access to their calculations because if they happened to inadvertently touch one of their calculations, there would be significant impacts. But equally, the student teams needed access to calculations to maintain their calculations on an academic period or an academic year basis to make sure students' fees and packages were all up to date. So there was always a big discussion, and most of the time the student team ended up maybe not getting access to all of the calculations. So with the ability to now secure calculations based on segments, which is my favorite feature in the whole of 24R2, Workday removes this issue. And this allows users to now gain access and be able to update and add calculations for the academic units and for the calculation categories that they need access to. So that is our highlights from the student functional releases. And I'm now going to pass it back to Jeff.
Fantastic material. Thank you to our team of experts and to your teams for the work you put into this. Over 100 slides. I can't believe we managed to get through this as fast as we did. Thank you for those of you who engaged with us with your questions. I think we were able to answer all of them, but let me direct your attention to the top right corner of the platform where you see the chat in the upper right corner, the two overlapping chat bubbles. We've added a couple of links there. One is to register for our session at Rising regarding private to public cloud tenant migration. Whether you have a digital pass or an in-person pass, you can register for this. ERPA has done this already ourselves as a Workday customer, and we're one of only a handful of Workday partners chosen by Workday to help you make the private to public cloud migration. You can hear more about it at our Rising session. And then we have a fantastic party planned for Tuesday evening of Rising at -5 Ice Bar in the Venetian. You can join us for, excuse me, hors d'oeuvres and drinks, endless selfie opportunities. It's going to be a DJ, ice sculptures. Everyone gets dress up clothes to wear inside of the ice bar. The registration link here is in the chat. And all of my friends presenting today will be at Rising along with their expertise. You can visit with them there at our party, at booth A27, or anywhere on the expo floor where you might find them. You will all get this webinar's slide deck and recording in a follow-up email in just a few business days, so be on the lookout for that. And then remember that an email survey will hit your inbox in just a few moments after the close of this webinar. Please, if you wouldn't mind, take 45 seconds to answer those quick 4 questions for us. Again, thank you so much to our team of experts for their presentation and the great material. All of that material is going to hit your inbox in a few business days so you can review it again or share it with others in your organization. And thank you for joining our webinar to review these top features. We will see you next time, or if you're going to be at Workday Rising, the links are in the chat for registering to our party as well as our speaker session. Come by our booth at A27. So we will either see you next time at our webinar, or we will see you in a couple of short weeks at Workday Rising in person. Can't wait to see you there. Have a great day.